Some they call it functional alcoholism, but if you know anything about Ben, he's got vision with precision, microphones and a tinkle of derision. You're about to hear what beer can be. It's time for Barley and Me.
Welcome to Barley and Me. I'm your host, Ben Rice. We're here today in Denver, Colorado at Comrade Brewing. With us today is the founder of Comrade Brewing, David Lin.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for actually doing this. I don't know why anybody says yes to me ever, so I appreciate it so much. And our special guest today from Seafood Landing, a fish shop in Denver, it's Jake Weber.
Thanks for having me, Ben. Fish and beer is a great combination.
Truly.
Yeah, I think there's a place in Denver called Fish and Beer.
There is, yeah, and that was not a plug. You just say it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be fun. First podcast for me. I don't really listen to them. Don't
know anything about it.
I know a little bit about them.
I know
they exist.
I feel terribly uncomfortable listening to myself after recording one. It's just like unbearable to hear.
Yeah.
It's like, is that the way I really sound?
Yeah, podcasters are sociopaths who love the sound of their own voice. So I'm like, yeah, look at these dulcet tones. You want to hear this three times? Got to do this one. Then I got to edit it. Then I got to release it. And I'm like, well, I should make sure it sounds good.
You gotta have the right tone.
Got to have that rich mahogany voice.
As I got older, I've noticed that I sound like my brother when I hear my recording.
Yeah.
So sometimes when I talk to my brother, I just assume I sound like that.
I don't think you guys sound that alike.
You would know more than I would. But
True.
Yeah.
I have a friend I got through doing music reviews, and obviously when you're doing those, they're all from all over America or whatever doing them. So he's in Arizona, but one time we need to talk about something, so we exchanged numbers, and I was like, it's like talking into a mirror.
Nice.
Same exact voice coming back at me.
Okay.
It was so weird. And so
I'd be weirded out too.
Yeah. And he's a writer now, and he has a book series he's working on that's about a mystery-solving brewer.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Just wait for the audiobook then.
Yeah, right. And we'll both do it. It's like, this is 2 characters. I swear to God, this is 2 characters.
Two. That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun time.
All right. So, David, how's business here at Comrade?
Oh, well, we're still operating under some COVID restrictions, so we got 6-foot social distancing, and it's down. I mean, we're down, double digits for sure, and it came at a really terrible time for us. We had just won Small Brewing Company of the Year in October of 2019, and like everybody else in the industry, we were on track to be about flat, doing exactly what we did in versus 2018. And that was a big shot in the arm for us, and our sales jumped double digits. And once when the first shutdown came, that killed us dead in our tracks. So really stole the thunder from out under us. But we've been adapting. I think that's what a lot of people are doing, adapting, and we've been able to survive so far. So
yeah. Well, you had 1 shot in the arm in 2019. You need 2 in 2021.
Yep.
Then you're back on track.
Yeah, I hope so.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
I hope to hear and see a lot of the brewing and food and then music for sure come back. I'm, a long time in the restaurant industry before I moved into working for the fish shop, which kind of just happened. I was a customer and friends with the owner at the time, and one day just asked me to come by. But before that, I was restaurants. I worked at the bottle shop, which obviously bottle shops are not seen and didn't see any sort of downturn.
Oh, definitely not. I have
Probably a rush.
I have a friend that this was actually last month. He said that there was no way that he was going to be able to beat last year's sales just because the line was out the door and they customers bought up half the store in a single day, and it just kept on coming for weeks and months. And he said, there's no way we could do what we can't beat last year.
Yeah, which is crazy. But probably during that golden 2 hours, that just did business like mad.
Yeah.
The big thing that happened, I guess we could talk about within this, is, and you were here in town, when they tried to do the shutdown of,
Yeah.
of the liquor stores, beer, wine stores, and weed shop.
Yep.
What lasted an hour, and
Something like that, yeah.
like, I'm sure you had witnessed it. I know I'd seen it, and friends telling me of like liquor stores and weed shops with lines down the block because people were in panic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they were initially they were deemed non-essential, and
Non-essential,
they're like,
yeah.
okay, stop
So it
crowding.
looks-
Now you guys are essential.
Yeah, it looks like you're essential. It was kind of funny.
It's like, we're going to be in for a long haul. We need some release somewhere along the way.
Yeah, that was pretty much the sentiment from the general public was, you can't, okay, but we're going to...
I mean, I drive past 3 weed shops on the way to the interstate, which is only about a mile and a half down the road, and there were at least a dozen people in line waiting outside just trying to get in to just get it before, I guess, they were going to close or whatever it was.
Yeah,
So
it was crazy,
Yeah.
funny. But I mean, with the brewing, I have friends still in the service industries and the brewing industries, and I definitely hope this year is people's attitudes towards the pandemic changing over the time. I think we'll have definitely more open and more access this year than we did for sure last year.
I hope so too. I think we can all see the light at the end of the tunnel and more vaccinations and hopefully ready to get back open soon.
Yeah. But speaking of more positive things, again, Small Brewer of the Year.
Yep. That was a huge thing, and we won. So we won 2 golds. Got a gold for our Superpower IPA, which is our flagship. So we keep that on year round, and we won gold for American IPA, a variant, kind of like a variant of Superpower. It's called More Dodge, Less Ram, and it was named after a Dodge Ram pickup truck that crashed in the brewery in 2016.
I remember reading about that.
So it was pretty funny, and I mean, we were able to, I guess, like still solidify ourselves as kind of like making really good IPAs here.
Any publicity is good publicity, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
To have a truck drive into your business.
So, what is your history with brewing, David? Like, where you come from? What are you doing? How'd you find your way in this?
I started brewing in 05. I was going to school in West Texas, and there was only one brew pub in town, and I think, like everybody else that does this, I started home brewing. So I think I was like 20 years old. Couldn't really buy alcohol, but I had some like roommates that were old and maybe got held back a few years in high school or something like that was able to buy us booze. But I got interested in it, and then I ended up getting my first commercial gig there in 2005. It was like my first time brewing commercially, 15 barrel system, and the place is still open. It's under a different name now in Lubbock, Texas. And then I moved up here to Colorado for the real job thing. I did that for about 4 years, and just didn't really enjoy what I was doing. Kind of soulless work. It was corporate dining, so it was like kind of like running your own restaurant, the cafeterias, but for offices. And so it's I did 4 years of food service, but my nights and weekends, I always kept in touch with the brewer that I was working for in Texas, and I'd spend my nights and weekends, and I'd help out the brewery that he was working at here in Colorado. They were packaging brewery, distributed here, and so after working 60-hour weeks, Monday through Friday, then my nights and weekends were going and pouring at beer festivals or doing distributor relations or representing if there's like a hand pour or hand sell at a liquor store. So did that on my nights off.
After 60 hours.
Yeah.
What the things we do to be like happy, it
was a great escape, and kind of just like really kind of took my mind off of just the drudges of everyday work.
Yeah, I'd imagine with a corporate eatery type situation, there's not a lot of room for creativity and like flair.
No, definitely not. There's a lot of people that are just sitting in offices that are just rolling out. Hey, these are the programs. These are the things you have to buy. This is how many cases you're getting of this food product, and here's all the material, and go ahead and roll it out and start selling it. So I'm sure they signed some crazy food contracts with big ag, and just forced us to buy a whole bunch of random stuff that we had to deal with. So
So this is very much the same thing for you here at Comrade then.
No, not at all.
So you struck out on your own, started Comrade.
Well, there's actually a
How
little
did
bit more too, even
Good.
after that.
Yeah, great. I need it all.
Okay, yeah.
Give it all.
All right. So after I was helping out, it was Grand Teton Brewing Company. Here,
okay.
Here in the
Yeah.
front, but I was here in the Front Range and in Summit County. This was also 2008, 2009, right in the middle of the financial crisis, and you can imagine the amount of cutting of like labor and everything else, like services. A lot of accounts closed. A lot of people lost their job, and it was just like a terrible time to be doing that. So I ended up leaving, and I got hired on at Dry Dock Brewing Company in Aurora, and I just needed to just get back into what I loved, and trained under Bill I. So I worked with Bill I over there for who's now at Bierstadt Lagerhaus. So I worked for Bill I for a year, and then I went back to school to get my MBA and get this brewery going.
Okay. So you learned from some pretty good people.
Yep, for sure.
And felt pretty confident. And then just a few short years later, Small Brewer of the Year.
Well, yeah, no, not really. So
There's always steps.
There's a lot of steps. Yeah,
Almost as if it's not an overnight thing.
Not an overnight thing, no. So Mark's is our brewmaster and other co-owner here at the brewery. I was his assistant back in 2005. He has been commercially brewing since 2002. And before we had been kicking around this idea. I think we were semi-seriously talking about it like in 2008. Then after the financial crisis, we were just really sick out. I was really sick out how things were going. I was like, all right, I need a, really began talking about it in 2010. And so I asked him, I was like, you know what, I got to go back to school real quick, and I want to open up a brewery. Do you want to be the brewmaster, and let's work together again? And he said, sure. So that was in 2010. Very shortly after that, he went to Barley Brown's Brewing Company, where he won, I think, 9 medals at GABF, including silver for American IPA in 2012, and then gold in 2013. And he actually won Small Brewing Company of the Year in 2013. So then 2014, then he came down, and then we got this thing going. So
yeah, and then immediately right to the top. There's no shortcuts. It just there is shortcuts. They just jump right in. You're immediately Brewer of the Year. All the years from 2015 to 2018 never happened. You're immediately Small Brewer of the Year.
Yep.
Got it. That's the story. Good. Episode over. No.
yeah.
Yeah. So Jake, we referenced your brother earlier. Longtime friend of the show, Andy Armstrong.
Yeah.
At American River at the time that I was interviewing him. It's episode 2 of Barley Me. Don't go listen to it. It sounds like complete garbage.
But you got to dig into the archives of Barley and Me.
Yeah, it's like, oh boy, it's bad. I bought new equipment, didn't test it, like everything went wrong. Nobody
live and learn.
Nobody wanted to sit near a mic. It was great. I was like, why do you keep leaning back to give me an answer? I soundtracked you to be right up here, and he would like kick back to like here, and I barely got my gain up because it's like feeding back. Because at the time I was doing like live ones out into the crowd, and so there was feedback if I had the gain up too high, and I'm like, God, it's like
you still released it anyways.
I still released it anyway. Nobody has any shame. I didn't know what I was doing.
Get
I
it
just
out there.
did this, and that was the last live one I ever did. Like nobody cares that it's happening, and it's so much tech work. When I'm there's nobody else there. It's just me trying to control it and be like, don't be a disaster, please. Don't have anything go wrong. If something goes wrong, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. The dumb things you do when you're young.
Yeah. And now you have mic condoms.
Yeah.
You've really moved up.
Yep. And only one piece of equipment. It's great. I got shamed into having to like pare down because I had like a laptop that you recorded onto, and I had a mixer, and I had like the initial like audio input that goes into the mixer so you can like fix it up, and then it goes into. That's so many steps.
Yeah.
So many.
And I was at a brewery where they just had barrels as their tables, so I had 3 tables just to record the audio. Like this can't. I gotta change.
Yeah, it's compact. Nice. It's nice.
Yeah, and it sounds even better than it did. So it's like so much less, so much more. Which reminds me, I was drinking this Talus Pale Ale over here.
Oh, it's actually I had to write it on the bottom. I put it on the bottom. It's actually a beer we made for Fire on the Mountain. It's a chicken wing place that I think started out in Oregon, but there's one. In fact, there's just one only like a few blocks away from Fish Fish Landing? No.
Seafood Landing.
Seafood Landing. Okay.
Seafood Landing, yeah.
Oh, I'm going to get it right one of these times. So it's actually a beer. They said that they're going to buy, they said all of it. So we're kind of just holding off and not actually selling it. So
Okay.
it's not even like
treat.
available to purchase here at the tap room. But
Oh, boy.
you can go to Fire on the Mountain and they're $5 pints for the whole month of April.
Lightning in the Air. That's the name. Grab it.
Lightning
It's
in the
good.
Air.
It's really good. So is that like a lower ABV beer?
Oh, it's 6.7.
Okay. So
So a lower one, right?
yeah,
It's lower than like Superpower.
yeah. In the IPA world, it's a pretty light IPA, which is insane. I don't
And the
remember.
new average.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
used to be like a big one. Now, like that's just where you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed.
People
What
are
do you-
looking for bang for the buck, though.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
But they also
You-
charge more. Anyway, it's fine. It's true. You can't sell an English mild for for $8.
Yeah, everyone seems to count the numbers on the ABV more, I think, or like bang for the buck.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
For
we have
sure.
we have a session IPA that's 5.1, and we have to lower the price on it. It's an expensive beer just because of the ingredients that we use.
For
but
sure.
they can look at the menu. It's like, wait a minute, for that same price, I could get a beer that's got 20%, 25, 30% more alcohol. I'm gonna get that instead.
Yeah.
It's-
So math is pretty simple.
It's like what?
I guess
what
not
about
all drinkers are like that, right? You're going to have some that come in and want to just try whatever they want and not really worry about that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's good. I mean, because I would guess that's more of your beer drinkers, your beer enthusiasts.
That's what we're drinking.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
We can, So we can still get work
For
Yeah.
sure. That's why it's made for the staff.
Yeah, so you got to live through the great hop wars of 2006, pretty much. Was that going on in Texas? The constant one-upmanship, like how many IBUs can we slam into this thing?
Yeah, we were the only pub in town, and so we had to cater to like our local market, which is
Okay.
there was no idea what craft beer even was, and Texas is I think the light beer capital of the world, so there was a lot of light beer being drunk, and
Yeah.
craft was still pretty novel back then.
So were you focusing on, I assume, process is more important than whatever else is going on? Just make sure it's repeatable and
Yeah,
drinkable. and people
Yep,
want
and
it.
then whatever weird things that like the GM told us to do. So this was back in 05, but I think they did like $1. We made a light beer too because everyone has light beer, but I think they were doing something stupid. It was like 25-cent pints on Sundays or something, and it was like a light beer. It was like 3.7% alcohol, and didn't even make any money. And I don't know. It was.
What was the goal?
I don't know
Yeah.
because my paychecks also bounced too, so I'm not sure.
Cool. Well, there's probably no correlation between those two things.
Not at all.
No.
Or three things, I guess. The beer, the 25 cents, and the reason for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Jake, you ended up getting involved with Seafood Landing because you were a regular customer, right?
Pretty much, yeah. Regular customer, worked kitchens, worked the line, worked restaurants. So I as soon as I moved here, and I moved from, before Denver, I was living in Providence, Rhode Island, working in restaurants and getting great seafood. I've also lived in New Orleans, another huge seafood city. So I naturally found it. The ex-owner, Bruce, just this cool, easygoing hippie dude who, for his retirement from CDOT, bought the fish shop and that was his gig. Single, retired man running a fish market. Coincidentally, he was a customer before he bought the shop from the previous owner as well.
Okay.
That owner that Bruce bought from was Dave, and he was one of the original employees and then owner within the original group of the opening of it back in '74. But yeah, I wanted good seafood, and what they were selling and what we still sell is, we go through the same wholesalers that all the restaurants or most of the main restaurants go through that are local.
And the employee discount, right?
And then the employee discount and now owner discount is even nicer. Well, let's just say I eat a lot of fish tails because nobody wants the tail. For very few people want the tail. And yeah, was working down the street at Mondovino, a bottle shop, and Bruce was also a customer of the bottle shop. He'd come in and get his bottle of white wine or two a week, and one day he just said, "Hey, come by the shop. I want to chat with you." And I was like, "All right, cool. Yeah, I'll see you in a couple days, I guess." That's odd. And then, yeah, he at that, when we met, he's like, I'm looking to retire in a couple of years, and I want to offer you first right in taking over the business and come in and work full time under me or with me or whatever, and figure it out. At that time, I'd been doing about 2 years in doing delivery for Mondo, driving cases of wine to catering events and private homes and all this stuff, and increasingly getting closer and closer to dangerous accidents. Not necessarily my fault, but just seeing accidents on the road and everything. And I was like, I would really be upset with myself if I continued to do this and ended up not being able to do. I'm a bike rider, hiker, got dogs. I like outdoor activities. And I just kept thinking about, man, I would really be upset if this happened to something happened in an accident. And then this opportunity of going to the fish shop came, and I jumped on it. And it's probably the only good choice I've ever made in my life.
There's got to be this one other choice.
There's like two or three other ones.
2 or 3 other choices.
I have a lovely, awesome partner, life partner, wife, whatever. We've been together 18 years now. But yeah, the fish shop has been great. Owning your own business, as you know now, is awesome and scary, and
Oh yeah, you
more
can never,
work than you would ever think it would be.
Yeah, it's not like a normal job where you just leave and then you go home and you just stop thinking about it. You're just you're always fully plugged in, and you're always thinking about it. And it's kind of it comes with the territory. And
Yep.
I sometimes wish for the simpler life when, my boss would just. No, then it's his problem after I leave. It's not my problem.
There's definitely those nights and days. And one thing that has been the biggest change for me between the two, from either, the service industry, cooking, but then also being on the back end of a bottle shop and like moving bottle, not really interacting with customers or the public. Stepping into the fish shop, I was, hey, how's it going? What kind of fish do you need? What are you eating? And I had to interact with the general public, which I never had in any other job in my life until 37 years old. So it's been a fun experience, and seeing and experiencing the human psyche and watching them. I don't know if you get it with beer, like them thinking about how and what they want and what they're going to do.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting, and how people like walk through like ordering, say, beer or food in general, and questions they ask, and their perception of what things should be or are is different than what they are sometimes.
Oh yeah.
It's been interesting.
Yep, we get all sorts of beer drinkers coming through here. People that don't even know they've never even had craft beer that just happen to find us, or people that have been, going to GABF every single year since it's been going on. So it runs the whole gamut here.
Yeah,
sure.
The question of like, what even is beer, to like, well, what's the grist in this thing? What are you doing with it?
Yeah.
Just, and the expectation that you know everything at all times, that you have instant recall. Yeah, it's the best.
It's like a child that never grows up.
Yeah.
Someone will come in and be like, do you have any ales? It's like, yeah, it's almost all ales actually. So
yeah. No, I don't like IPAs though. I don't like stouts. Like, what are you looking for?
Do you have any sea bass? And I go, well, I have a few different fish from the bass family that are in the sea bass family. Yes, but it's
just the regular one.
Yeah,
what's your most popular bass?
But then we also have.
What's your highest ABV bass?
Yeah. But we also have great customers that are knowledgeable, and we like to try and definitely not like move them on or pass them on any customer. It's more to inform the ones that definitely want the information and are open to it, And you have the ones that are stubborn and think they still know everything, and they might know a good amount, but then they usually are just too stubborn to like learn new stuff or take in a little bit new knowledge from someone that they may have never met before.
Yeah.
Pertaining to a product they're looking to buy, whether it be food or beer. Working at the bottle shop, and I would help out in the beer because I more drank beer and knew all the beer. I'd also stock the beer shelves. They would ask me to help sell the beer when I was there, not out doing deliveries. And then beer buyers would, oh no, I'm good. And then are on their phone, what's this one? Okay, what's this one?
Yeah.
I don't want to interact with a human that is selling and is like deals with all of this inventory daily.
Yeah, I
would rather
strangers on the internet.
see what someone.
I'll only drink beers that have at least a 4.1 untapped rating or higher.
Yeah.
It was strange to me. I'm like, okay, cool, you got it then.
Untapped is useless. I don't use it anymore. I used to be like, and it was a dangerous app because like I was using it before I was doing the podcast, and there was a beer bar down the street from my house, and like I would look at my numbers like, man, I'm not drinking as much as I used to. My numbers are slipping. That's not a healthy way to view that app, you know? I was like, and people are like, you're averaging 3 beers a day, like 3 new beers a day.
Yeah.
It's just like,
and then they gamify with badges and stuff. So now you're just trying to unlock
you're trying to get
badges.
those. Yeah, it's so stupid. But like, I'll go on it every once in a while. Because I'm like, I'll just try a beer. But sometimes like, I kind of do want to know what people think, and you have to scroll for like 5 minutes to have somebody actually give some feedback on what this beer even tastes like. I'm like, what is the point of this app?
Yeah,
it's run its course.
It's just like a alcoholism tracker.
Yeah, that's how
Wait, how many beers do I have on that day?
It's a drinking game.
Yeah, and it's not great.
It's a drinking game where you're trying to just beat yourself.
But it's just one of those things that you keep around because you have a killer username, Beer Devil's Advocate. I'm very smart, thank you.
Jumped on that one, right?
Yeah, I'm like, it's not taken. Oh, it's mine.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is I knew that you were both going to be here,
That's odd that you would
right?
know that. Yeah.
But I also forgot a fact about my own self. I was a commercial fisherman. Look at that tie-in.
Oh,
We did
Wow.
it.
What kind of fish?
yeah.
I was a salmon fisherman on the Aleutian Islands.
Okay.
So did you catch all 3, the king, coho, and sockeye
Yeah.
throughout the season?
But then a lot of rockfish.
Rockfish,
Just a
for
ton
sure.
of rockfish just getting
Those
caught in
things are
that.
pokey. They'll
Oh, yeah.
spike the hell out of you.
There's so many defense
Even-
mechanisms.
I always forget their
Behind
gill
the-
badges. They have like pretty much right off the gill badge one point that I'm like always so good about watching out for the back fins.
Yeah.
But
they poke out. They're retractable, so they'll just come out and
Yeah.
stab you.
Oh,
and then there's one underneath the tail as well. Then it's got the circular teeth when you get in there. And there's a crown of spikes on their head. And honestly, I love a rockfish.
Yeah, they're nice,
just-
rich, fatty flesh.
Like naturally salty,
Yeah.
like so good. But
Great for frying.
yeah, you have to like pinch them a certain way, and like so I was using seine lining, so it's like these little nets that have like mesh, and you got to like pull them out. And then if you couldn't get them out by hand, you just used a mallet to their face.
Yes, that's an ancient technique.
Yeah.
It takes years to master, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, it took me at least 2 days to really get down to smashing it in the face.
With the
Well, you
hit it
want
with the
a
fish
good
bonker.
blow.
You want it, but like also it's a living thing. Like
Yeah.
I'm like 18. I'm like, oh no, smashing it. That seems.
Did you? How many seasons?
I only did 1 season.
Yeah.
But we were the top grossing boat in the fleet. So I got carpal tunnel in my wrist the first week when we caught 52,000 pounds in a day.
Nice.
Okay.
And I had not. It was
52,000,
within 4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Oh.
It's about
I didn't have my
7 to 8 pounds of fish. Give you an idea.
yeah, it's about 5 or 6 back then.
Yeah, that's a lot of fish.
Yeah, and I didn't have my technique down to get them out, so if they were stuck, I was just wrenching them, so I just damaged. I was
can
there
imagine.
for 3 more months.
And it's not like it's a very calm, relaxed environment.
Yeah. Almost died on my birthday. That was pretty cool.
19th or 18th birthday?
19th birthday. Yeah, it was great.
I turned 19 getting kicked off a freight train basically right on the California and Arizona border.
You got kicked off, or you?
We were getting kicked off by Border Patrol. My friend and I were sleeping on the car. We had just finally got on the car going north to back to LA from Tucson. And yeah, as soon as truck pulls up, we noticed the train slowing down. And we start to wake up because we had been sleeping. It was early in the morning. The sun was out. And then we hear some guy like, hey, come on, get up, let's go. And then the guy goes, oh, you're not Mexicans. Get out of here. And we were in basically the middle of the desert. And then there was a kind of a gravel road that we had to go through some like desert area from the train track because tracks there weren't really close to a road.
Yeah.
We finally were able to get to a gas station and on a highway and hitchhiked back into Yuma, and then worked out money to get Greyhound up to LA, and then made it back to San Francisco eventually.
Yeah. Well, what were you going to Tucson for? Just to go.
Not to go. We were supposed to meet up with people that were coming from somewhere back east, and they were driving, and then we were going to meet up with them in Arizona, and then continue in the van. They were driving back east. I don't know really where we were going there.
Just 18-year-old, just
18, 19, just about to turn 19. I had dropped out of art school in San Francisco Art Institute and was just a vagrant.
You're young. You're going to see the world. You're going to see it any way you can.
Well, it was mainly California is what I got to see.
Yeah.
Some good parts, some bad parts.
Yeah. And also, I'd just like to point out, Arizona always change. Please be different at some point.
Most of my time in Tucson was spent under train tracks, just hanging out, waiting to hear that we weren't going to get picked up. And then going, cool, now we have to hop freight back to somewhere, to civilization, basically. I did. So I was walking this was one of the stories that took place in Tucson, walking to go get beer. I was obviously at that time only just about 19. I was with a guy that was 21. We had cut through just like the grass on the corner of a public park. And out of nowhere, as we're stepping back to the sidewalk, 2 cops came up. You guys have permits to have those beers in this park? And we're like, we're not. No, because we're just walking through. We're going, you're in the park with the beer. 30-pack. We had to watch them dump every one into a trash can and then walk back to
And only the finest beer comes in a pack of 30s.
That is correct.
Yes.
We were living the high life that night. Or we're wanting to live the high life.
Look, let's go do that now. I feel like we could get away with it, for one. And also, I would enjoy it.
It was, we were just like, this is bullshit. You clearly know and knew we were just walking through this park, and you waited for us to cut through. And then they came in, they're like, all right, no permit for beer in the park?
Where do you even get that permit? How much does that permit cost? How often does it come into play?
It's probably just there to do that to people that are experiencing homelessness, that are trying to drink in a park.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in Sacramento, we have, at our bottle shops now, you have to buy 2 bottles. Otherwise, they can't sell you beer.
What?
Yeah.
That seems like to solve the problem, right? Make them buy more?
Make them buy more. That solves it. Exactly. And I'm like, I came here to buy a $35 bottle of stout, man. I'm not, I didn't come here for a second thing.
You're right. Like, okay, I'll take the tall boy PBR.
This doesn't solve a problem.
Just to make you happy.
Yeah.
This is just an inconvenience for every single person.
Maybe they're thinking that they won't. It'll be too warm. The second one will be too warm by the finish.
And then that's always stopped
the first one.
People.
Just makes them drink them faster.
The temperature's not quite right. Well, I'm returning it. That's what's going to happen.
Can you buy 2, leave 1 there, and come back and get it later?
Yeah. Can you just keep this in the fridge for me? I'll be back.
I will. I'm just going to be right up front.
Yeah. Yeah.
Slam this one. I'll come back and get this one.
Just for me, I'm like, what's the worst thing about walking around drinking a beer? What's the difference between that and sitting on a bench outside?
I don't know.
Really. I'm trying to get somewhere. I got places to be.
When living in New Orleans, their deal was as long as it was in a plastic cup. I don't know if you guys have ever been.
Yeah.
But
drive through
daiquiri shops.
There you go.
As long as the driver can't reach the beer or alcohol, it can be in the car. These are, I don't know if they were real legit.
They're still there.
But yeah,
Never been.
You could have a big gulp of, I don't know,
Daiquiri?
daiquiri or a Long Island iced tea. You can have 64 ounces of Long Island iced tea. As long as it's in plastic, you're good.
Whoa.
Keep yourself upright.
Sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah, and that's when because they do the like grenades and hurricanes and stuff, and then tall plastic.
Oh, yeah.
Weird. I don't know.
Infamous.
It is, yeah. But yeah, as long as you're not in glass bottle, they'll stop you, make you take it, dump it out, whatever.
And then throw the glass through another person's window.
And then the cop will throw you.
And it's like, why'd you do that? It's like, we told me to. And it's yeah, it's a mess. But there's also responsible drinking.
There is responsible drinking.
David, you are doing a sober...
Yeah, it's like dry April.
Dry April, there we go. That's the one.
Just got a buddy. Want to do it? Got some friends. I was like, yeah, I'll do that. That sounds good. Been doing a lot of drinking through the pandemic, so
Yeah.
gained some weight and need to kind of drop some poundage. So I was like, yeah, I'll join you. Throw you some moral support.
Yeah, and there's always a friend that's like, I don't think you can do it. You got to show them. What's what. But I like.
Everyone likes a good challenge.
Yeah, I do. But like, I've stopped for months at a time. It's not a problem. And like early in the pandemic, I was drinking a whole bunch because it's you hop on Zoom with friends. Like, I don't want to see my friends. Let's just get drunk at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday, then try to go to work the next day.
Oh yeah,
and that is not sustainable. So no. I think I'm down to like a beer every other day at this point. I'm just like, what am I drinking a beer for? I didn't have a long day at work. I woke up, I rolled over, I worked as much as what's necessary. Nobody was watching me, so if I was like, I'm done working, nobody knew that I was just. Oh, this is on a recording. Okay, nobody knew that. I just like walked to my couch. And I'm like, what's on TV? And
no,
like,
we all know. Everyone
stress
knows
is way down.
Yeah, that's the protocol for the at home.
Yeah.
At home worker. My wife does it. With the fish shop, I don't get to do my work at home.
So how was that for you? As far as like, was there people that were like deciding I'm going to try out more fish? I'm going to be more experimental with stuff. Like, how did business?
For
get
sure,
affected?
we've seen a lot of new customers because they couldn't go out to restaurants and they had money and they were like, and time to search or look, however they wanted to do it, by foot, by phone, whatever, on the internet for seafood that they can cook at home that is as close to the restaurant that they normally go to. I think definitely we saw right at the beginning last summer, the phone constantly calls. And not surprisingly enough, after a while it was like, yeah, of course people want to eat this stuff. King crab legs. How much do you have them? How much? Do you have scallops? Do you have lobsters? A lot of like real decadent high-end seafood that is even higher end when you're in the middle of Colorado looking for these products. And I mean, we've
cheaper, still cheaper than ordering at a restaurant.
Yeah, and we sell fish for people to do sushi at home, and that's one thing that people do come to us for a lot for. And it's awesome to see how excited people get when they're kind of nervous when they see the price tag, but when we get to the register, I'm like, all right, that's under $50 for you and like 2 or 3 other people to have a nice sushi spread. You just got to do a little bit of work, and it's usually not that tough. A lot of people's reserve on it is, we're in meat and potato country, and not a lot of people do sushi at home in general, so they see raw fish just in front of them in its form, and it's just very intimidating, I think, to a lot of people, either if they're cooking it or going to just eat it raw, just slice it up. But once I think people start to get over that and also realize how much less expensive it is for them to do it at home every once in a while as opposed to going out, it's a double-edged sword for me because again, like I've said earlier, I've come from restaurants. I have a lot of friends that are still in that industry, and I don't want to take business from restaurants, and I want them to do well, and I want it to my customers and their customers to know that they can go have both options. And I think in the end people will come away from this going, I don't need to go out to eat every night because I can support a local grocer, or I can support, go to the farmer's market and find some veggies and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit different where you need like specialized equipment to try to like brew beer at home, and luckily we're able to stay open and sell beers to go. We actually saw a huge outpour in support, and like people were buying like tons of beers to go and stuff, and it wasn't too painful like the first shutdown. So it was good to people were definitely ready to spend money too. So it's kind of weird.
It helps. It had to help you just also mentally, and like to see that people still want it and are willing to get it however they can.
Oh yeah,
and want more so also just like, sure, I'll buy extra because I want you guys to be here when this is over with, or however their mentality was on it. But definitely great morale to have people still waiting out line and cars pulling up.
Oh yeah,
to get beer even though they can't hang out.
Yeah. And like seeing a case go away that's not of a special release, it's just your classic standbys. It's like, oh, people do like what I'm doing. They don't just come here because I've got a new barrel-aged thing out there.
Yeah.
I have lost my train of thought. It's gone.
I mean, you just drank the Superpower. I was going to ask you what you thought of it.
That's okay.
Okay, yeah.
It's a fine IPA. Yeah, it's, I'm going to tell you, this is America. We do not, it's very balanced. It's bright. It's like hoppy but without being overpowering, and there's no place for it in the market.
Probably. Yeah, I mean, if you've seen all the beers so far, they've all been you can actually see through them. So
yeah,
I know it's a little weird.
It's an unorthodox approach. I'll allow it, but just know it's not going to be
something
great.
New.
Yeah,
yeah. But no,
new again.
You're out here with an Irish red.
Mm-hmm.
You're out of control.
Yeah.
What are you trying to do?
Well, we won a bronze medal in 2018 for it. So for Irish Red Ale at GABF. So it's okay too.
Yeah. Oh, so since you were 2019 Small Brewer of the Year, 2020, surely they didn't have somebody crowned, right?
No, they totally did.
Damn it! You can't just carry it over.
Well, no.
Like,
Well, they changed the rules on it. I think maybe the BA decided that after the fact that it wasn't a good idea, but I think they were just doing it based on win percentages, and as more and more breweries have opened up. I mean, it used to be unlimited entries. It was like $250 an entry, so it was as big as your pocketbook. Then with more breweries opening up, then it was like it's only 10 entries, and then
more
I think
more
maybe
breweries.
2014 there was like 5 entries or something like that. So it's been 5 entries except through 2020, and then it was up to 10 again, if not more.
Oh boy!
And so they changed it to like win percentage. So I think there was a brewery out in
instead of just the straight up number of.
Yeah, so I think there was a brewery in Long Island City. They won Small Brewing Company of the Year, but they must have just entered in 1 beer. So
okay. So they had 100% win?
100% win, whereas we put in 10 beers and we won 1, so that was like a 10% win, so we didn't win. So
yeah. Okay. It's always kind of weird how those things, but it is based on medals, and like I guess is it also tiered medals? So like a gold's worth more than a silver and all that stuff.
Yeah, so for 2019, not for. I mean, 2020 changed the rules for everything. I think they're going to go back to the ways that used to be. Yeah. But yeah, it was like 5 points for gold, 4 points for silver, 3 points for bronze, and then I mean, depends on if you had multiple locations and which one you would qualify under. Was it brewery group or small, very small, mid-size, and then there's like small, mid-size, and large brew pubs. So that's like a separate category too. So 2020 is just weird.
What?
Yeah.
It's the first I've heard of it. Even from 25 minutes ago, this is the first I've heard of it. Okay, I have to ask the question. Why Comrade Brewing? I do like the idea of the hops and grains and everything like that in the logo. It's very cool. But why Comrade Brewing?
So I think
you mentioned his name's Marks. So.
Yeah. But that's it's spelled with an S, like there's more than one.
Okay.
That was a coincidence, I guess. But I think the most famous example would be the collaboration, not litigation, with Russian River and Avery Brewing, where it's a really tight knit industry. We help each other out. I mean, typically in pretty much any other industry, we would be direct competitors, and you'd probably tell them to. Your competitor would be like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to tell you, or I'm not going to help you out. But, there's a lot of camaraderie in the brewing industry, and I think that word gets used a lot. But it's also a little tough to spell, too many syllables. So I just shortened to Comrade, and everything's all kind of tongue-in-cheek. So I had been brainstorming, because, I've been wanting to get this – been wanting to open up my own brewery for a long time, and I spent, more than 2 years before I came up with this idea. So, yeah, one of the other unique things, here is that our brew house and all of our tanks and vessels are 100% U.S. made. So,
Okay.
I want to say there's maybe 3 breweries in Denver that hold that standard. So, out of the 70 plus, there's only 3 that have, that are actually doing something like that. So that also is kind of a little bit unique as well.
Yeah.
for sure.
And it plays against the name, which is always fun.
Yep.
Technically Russia's Asia, so it's like, because a lot of steel comes from the Japaners are from China.
A lot of steel from China.
Yeah, so there's like a whole battle about that in the brewing industry about like the quality of the steel and if it's even technically steel, and it's a whole mess.
The price is right, but you just also then send money directly to China and by buying Chinese tanks, you're the real communist sympathizers.
Yep. That turns out that's true.
Yeah. But I've been running around this Denver area the last couple of days, and I have had no chance to concentrate on anything. This is the only one I've been early for,
Okay.
and it's only because I had such a big gap between things.
Okay.
I still barely made it. It's the first real weekend you guys have been reopened, right?
What do you mean real
Like
weekend?
really reopened. I don't know. People kind of say like everybody anticipated this to be the craziest weekend they've had in a year.
Oh, I think it's just because of the weather. We had like record-breaking snow last month. We also had like record-breaking cold, like the one that pretty much crippled Texas. That hit us first. It's like almost 80-degree, like record-breaking highs. So it's like people have been cooped up and kind of like, ready to open up all the doors and windows and kind of like, get some fresh air in. So I think, and then then opening day for the Rockies on Thursday.
Yeah, that's a big big
now
deal.
that they're allowing like X% capacity. So things haven't. I think there's just like a lot of pent up demand and people just want to like get out.
The Avalanche have started letting people back in. Very limited. A coworker of mine scored tickets to the game last Friday. He said it was kind of interesting. He's been to a lot of them. He's a huge Avs fan, born and raised here, and he plays hockey. Like last night, he played a doubleheader. But yeah, I think that's what I think people are saying is it is opening weekend because of the Rockies.
Yeah.
But then things are definitely, like you said, opening up. People are opening up their patios or at least dusting it off to let people hang out there a little bit more.
So the second shutdown ended on January the 4th. So we've been able to allow, people inside for like quote unquote dine in.
Okay, yeah. What I was getting to is I just had trouble getting around because there's like no lifts, there's no Ubers, all this stuff like this.
It's probably because of the game.
Right. It was just a madhouse because I started in Denver, went to Longmont, went to Fort Collins, came back to Denver. But I came back to Denver early. Like I had to like walk away from my hotel. I'm like, I'm not spending the night here because I got a message from this like transportation company was supposed to pick me up from the hotel. They're like, oh yeah, we know we said we'd pick you up at 10. It's going to be 11:30. I'm like, I got places I can't hang out like that. Like I got to get going. It's just like I left my first stop today. And I was like, oh, there will be a lift by in 12 minutes. I'm like, cool. All right, I'll just wrap up and we'll get out of here. And like, that guy canceled. I'm like, all right, let's try it again. Like, there's another one coming in 22 minutes. I'm like, geez. And like, that guy canceled. So I was just over at Bierstadt and I was like, I'll be there at 2. I'm like, ooh, I'll be there at 2:20. I'm going to be there at 2:45. And the time was for 2. So like, I got done there at like 4:10 because it's just...
And it's right by the stadium, too.
Yeah, exactly. It was a madhouse. And then I was coming from living the dream, so it was a long journey regardless. The day before, when I was in Fort Collins, I went to Purpose, which was wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely go. And then I was like, I had time to like get food and go to Horse and Dragon. And I looked at it, I'm like, an hour, 10-minute walk away. I'm going to go find some food on the streets, like find a burrito and walk and eat the burrito. When the burrito's done, I'm going to order a lift. I'm going to get going. And so I did that and I'm done. And I'm like, let's get to the thing. And I'm like, it's 1:30. I have an appointment at 2. I'm 40 minutes walking away. Perfect timing. And like, they're like, we can get you a lift in 47 minutes. Like, what is happening? I just want to go somewhere.
You can't really. I've only been to Fort Collins a couple times, and I kind of remember everything being spread out. Like you
It's
can't really
very spread
walk to. You gotta drive.
Yeah.
Very campus central. And Horse and Dragons in that little industrial park thing.
Yeah, way up the way. and then I had to go back to Go, which is right down the street from Purpose, and they're like, we were running like I got there late, and so then we were doing an episode, and I'm like, I had plans to be over here, and I was like, pulled up I'm like doing my outros, and I'm like on my phone, just trying to get I'm not gonna let this happen again, and they're like, get off your phone, we'll just give you a ride, but I was still a half hour late for my next one. It was just, it's been a mess, and I hate it. And anyway, that's why I'm a terrible host to you. You have to deal with the very last thing I'm doing.
No, it's all right.
I do appreciate you doing it. Let's get into positive things. It seems like we've had a lot of negative conversations, but how do you feel about what you've done here at Comrade, what you've done in the beer industry?
I think it's been good. I mean, it's taken a while. I mean, just to get established, and it's always been like a work in progress, and excited to kind of get back to the volumes that we used to be doing, and hopefully if this first warm weather weekend is an indication of anything, then I'm optimistic for the rest of this year.
Were you guys ready to can when COVID hit, or were you kind of using mobile canning at the time? Or
so we're actually draft only, and the only thing that we sell is crowlers.
Okay.
So the first shutdown of the crowlers ran out. They sold out of them, and I guess they only produced every quarter. So we ended up giving away 400 something half-gallon glasses, and we even ordered more glass. So no, I mean that's we've always continued the to-go business, and having been in this industry for so long, and having done all sorts of jobs, and working for big and small places, we know what we don't want to be doing, and packaging is most definitely one of those things. And so we've had offers for some manufacturers around town to do one free canning run just to help you out, and check they're probably generating some leads just to generate interest to see if we'll actually buy a machine. And, so we never did it, and we always committed to just stay draft only.
Nice. So were you able to just have people come back with their growlers, or how did you manage that?
Everything. So we always fill 64s. 128s, bringing your 32s. We bought more 64s and 32s. We were eventually able to get more crowlers as well. So
cool. Okay.
We're selling them in pretty much any format. It wasn't like some of the other bars and restaurants that were buying milk jugs and stuff like that, and filling them up. That was really weird. But I did get a half gallon of margarita from the bar that's a minute walk away. But they were also like putting beer in it too. It's like, this probably isn't the best, not the best container to put it in. Yeah. I saw that you brought a pack of some cans from Bierstadt, and
I certainly did.
Before the pandemic, they canning, would have never even considered it. And I mean, in downtown, there's just such a high concentration of breweries. I mean, from there, you could walk to another 10 breweries in just a few minutes. Mm-hmm. And so I know a lot of people have been appreciative and like, awesome, I can get Hellas and slow pour pills. So I know a lot of people are excited. And there are also a lot of people that were pissed. It was like, I can't believe Comrade still hasn't like canned yet. Everyone's canning. It's been like a double-edged sword. So, with the shutdown of the bars and restaurants, we were selling just over half of our beer to just bars and restaurants around Denver. During the shutdown, like that dried up immediately. That was painful. But then as things were reopening, all the other breweries, they either went into canning, but then they just traded canning, like sourcing cans as their other problem now.
Yeah. So
they no longer had draft beer available, and all of our accounts and even new accounts were like, we need kegs, and my normal brewery, like, they don't do kegs anymore, or they don't have any. Who does? Yeah. So when things reopen back up, then like our wholesale just like rebounded back up to like full strength too. So we've always just, I mean, it's been really, I'm glad that we're still not canning. So
yeah, and it's nice because people can come in here, they get complete choice. How much beer do you want? What beer do you want?
Yeah.
And we'll price it accordingly.
Yeah.
You're not buying a 4-pack when you're like, I really only want one of these, I think one of the main problems with packaging now is beer consumers don't drink the same beer over and over again anymore. It really doesn't happen. So when I go to a place, I always try to sweet talk my way into them making a mixed 4-pack. I'm like, look, just charge me the highest price of the 4 beers I'm buying.
Yeah.
And everybody wins.
Yeah.
I'm not going to fight you on this. Yeah. And like sometimes I was in Maine. I'm like, look, I don't live here. I'm not going to be able to come back. And then person's like, no, I'm not going to do it. You buy the 4-pack, it's a 4-pack. I'm like, all right, man. I guess I'm not going to buy a 4-pack from you, but can I get another pint of this thing? And I go grab a pint, and I come back. I'm like, new person working the table. All right, hey, mixed 4-packs. What are we doing? And sure enough, I got it. And I'm like, now I know I have the power, and I just keep doing it because I'm a monster who just wants to make life miserable for everybody. But
you just got to check that Untapped thing. You just got to check it on Untapped.
Yeah. No, then I tweeted about how great they were. See, everybody wins. They got a quick, good review that was based on real things. And if they had said no, I wouldn't have been like 1 star. I wouldn't break the rules to sell me beer. But I do think a mixed 4-pack, if you're going to do canning, that's what you should, or mixed 6-pack.
I mean, from some of the industry stuff, the BA does IRI scan data, and they were saying variety packs just monster growth. That's what everyone wanted. It's like, well, since I'm going to have to buy a whole case and I'm going to have to drink it at home, I might as well get a bunch of different things. So
yeah, it's a supersized flight.
Exactly.
When working, even before the pandemic, noticing in the bottle shop, this is almost 6 years ago, the 12-pack mix were coming out, and they definitely were selling out a lot. People would buy that. I mean, they would reach for those way before they would reach for the single 12-pack of whatever. People want variety.
And people are still looking for places that build your own sixer or whatever.
For
just
sure,
buy singles.
It's a huge market as well.
It is.
Maybe they just don't want to drink beer. That's what I've decided.
They want to have things.
Yeah.
Multiple things.
You want to have the pictures. You want to show.
It goes back to the ABV. More bang for the buck. If I get a mix.
That's, yeah.
Because normally this 6-pack of this beer is this, but if I buy the mix, then I get a deal on it or something.
Yeah.
These are $2.50 each, but if you buy 6, it's only $15. It's that's the same price.
Yeah, but you get 15.
Yeah. But you get 6 of them, and they're all different. It's but a 6-pack is $8.
It's interesting to hear the take on the canning, because as a spectator to the beer industry here in Denver and seeing what would happen, and also working in the bottle industry at the bottle shop for a while, knowing what breweries were doing it, who weren't, and you would hear rumors of why one brewery does or doesn't do it. And I don't know. It was interesting to see who, because not necessarily was going to break or give in, but just to see what people are willing to do to stay, or think they have to do to stay open and keep going, and not, or hopefully not, feel like they have to change their not necessarily their whole business, but just their ethos on what and how they want to continue to be a business or a brewery, and stick to the guns or have to bend to get by.
Yeah, I mean, So I mean, for packaging for us, not only we've done it at other places, and we just weren't interested in doing it ourselves. I mean, the brewing industry, just the brewing process itself, it's very resource intensive. It requires a lot of water for cleaning, sanitizing, and then all the water for growing the hops and the malt and the malting process. Uses a lot of electricity for refrigeration. We use a lot of natural gas to boil the wort for for 90 minutes. So it's draft beer is definitely the most sustainable way to consume beer as well, and
for sure,
where we take that very seriously, and we even have a little counter that I update. I try to update about every month, but it counts, how many kegs worth of beer that we sold, but then I break it back down into how many 6-packs of beer, and it's not only just the package itself. Then you have the 6-pack holder or the 4-pack holder. Yeah. Then you have the case carton on top of that. And so it's I think we've now saved more than 1.5 million pieces of refuse from being created and ending up in the landfill.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Okay, so you're going very much the sustainability model. Plus, with the name Comrade, you're getting a growler. You're sharing that with a friend. It's a friendship aspect of it.
Sure.
You're doing it.
Yeah.
You got this business model down.
I hope so.
And it's really cool that you're able to keep because I think most people would panic in this circumstance and try to turn away from what you were doing. And you're like, no, we're right, and it worked out. And that's brave.
Or just really, really stubborn.
Hey, look, they look a lot alike from a distance.
Yeah, depends on where you're at the end of the day.
Stand your ground. Wait, nope. Hold on. Let me just change the phrasing on that. Stick to your guns. Is that no?
No, that doesn't work.
There's look. The point is, it worked out. It's because you had a belief in what you were doing, and you felt that it could carry through. And you probably heard people tell you that you should get cans. I'd imagine there's a bit of a push to be like, hey, I care about you. You need to be in cans.
We thought about it. We thought about it just to do like a one-off, and but then then things reopen back up. It's like, okay, never mind. We don't have any beer anyway.
Cool. So. We don't have to think about this anymore.
Yeah.
We get people from all over the Denver area, and they're always customers always have suggestions for you all the time, and it's great that people are invested in care and want to help, but sometimes there's no real basis behind it. I think
they're
not
actually
to be mean.
They're actually just wanting things that they want,
and that's usually what I've noticed a lot of times is you should do this. It's going to be great. And then you think for me, really, it's going to work out.
Yeah.
You should open up another brewery. You should open up another fish shop in this neighborhood because that's where I live.
Yeah.
Yep. We get that.
And I appreciate it. It's great. I want it's because that means that people want your stuff. And it's awesome. But it's also like, well, it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, people have come in and like, hey, you guys should just like put in a kitchen and serve food. It's like,
oh yeah, it's so simple.
I hate food service. I did it for 4 years. Like I will never do that again, ever.
We get that a lot too, or people will come into the fish market. We don't have a restaurant license. We're just a grocer, which is awesome because we don't have to deal with the health department as much as a restaurant or someone who serves food. But people are always like, oh, well, you can just do it. You can just cook, make this for me or whatever. And it's like, well, no, I really can't.
I literally cannot do that.
Can I get in writing? You'll flip the bill for the fine if the health department comes down on me?
Because you wanted some baked salmon. All right, that would be $1.3 million. But on the plus side, next time it'll be cheaper.
Well, yeah, next time I might have my restaurant license
that up
after all that.
12 to 17 months.
Yeah, but yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, they don't understand like the different licenses. So we have, in the summertime it's hot and people want like water to hydrate, but they want cold water. They want like ice water. It's like, do you have any ice? It's like, ooh, actually, ice is food, and we're not allowed to have an ice machine. So I'm sorry. It's like it's warm tap water. Sorry.
Yeah, it's like also if you have a problem with that, take it up with somebody else because I don't make that call that ice is food.
Yeah, ice is food.
Because there's so much contamination possible from it.
Oh yeah.
There
because
is.
They're using the utensils to get us the ice scoops. Everybody knows the ice scoop contamination stuff is out of control.
Warm or is like a moist environment like mold and bacteria and all sorts of crazy things go on those machines.
Yep, and I have one. And we have to clean it.
Yeah,
I can't live without an ice machine in my fish shop.
Yeah. Like when
that's the one thing it's funny when I tell people, the ice is food. So if I put it in this bag, it's not been touched with fish or anything. So when you get home, you can make a margarita with it.
Yeah.
And people are like, "What? Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, the health department considers ice food. So anywhere you go in town that gives you ice, it should be as legit as any food you would be served.
Food grade ice.
Yeah.
You should know that no one was just sticking their hand in that ice bin back there.
And if they were, it was a violation.
Yeah. I mean, well, they shouldn't be if they were. But there's so many little things, and it's a lot of time it's out of selfishness.
Yeah, but it's also like I want you to succeed, but I want it to be closer to me or easier for me to access. Which is not the worst thing somebody could say.
No, not at all. Like I said, it's a compliment.
There's a reality that's a little more stark than the compliment.
Yeah.
Trying to make your customers happy, trying to do what you can for them, but also not sway in what you feel is your goal or your boundaries or whatever.
Yeah.
So I did want to get back to this time off from alcohol. I think it's an important part that everybody people don't really talk about. People assume that brewers and owners are just a party every minute of the day. it's important to sit back and like recalibrate who you are as a person.
Yeah, there's I'm only doing it just for moral support of my buddies, but I mean, there's health benefits. There's a lot of calories in it. It's also a depressant, and I mean, I think there's a lot of there's been a lot of spikes in alcoholism and liver disease during this pandemic because drinking has gone up. But it's also nice to just like know that it frees up a lot of time instead of just like hanging around just drinking beer and social and just drinking beer all day. So
Yeah.
Time and money. Frees up a lot of time and money.
yeah, save a lot of money. Well, not me because all the beer is free, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Cuts down on like costs.
yeah,
Against overhead.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I mentioned earlier, like, why can't you just walk around with a beer? It's really, I think you should be able to walk around with a beer, by the way, because if you're sitting and drinking beer, that means you're sitting there until you're done. Then the alcohol hits you. Now you're stuck. You're not going to be able to get where you're going. You're going to stumble. You can't drive a car. Like, you shouldn't drive a car. But if you're walking while you're drinking, maybe you're like, hey, I'm sober enough all the way to this point, and then I'm right at home.
Yeah.
Boom. And there's no problems. I don't know what this rule against drinking, but anyway.
Yeah, I don't think there should be a punishment for potential behavior, just only actual bad behavior.
Yeah. Like you're fighting against something that's so minimal as a risk, and then as we kind of discussed, it's basically just a way to antagonize homeless people, which would stop that too.
Yeah.
By the way, just they're just trying their best to get by in a very shitty situation. So maybe
And there's so many more
and
at this point, and it's not. It's unfortunate.
yeah.
It's unfortunate.
And there's a stigma that they're all drunks and they're just trying to get your money for booze and drugs, and that's not even true. So, anyway, point is stop antagonizing them and just let them try to get back on their feet.
Yeah.
Just stop putting them in jail and making them have to pay fines that they
they're
can't
not gonna
afford,
pay.
and like assaulting them to that point that they go to hospital and accrue bills they can't pay, and just making it harder and harder for them to find their way back. This is a beer podcast. That's what I'm here to talk about.
Yeah, okay.
But the platform for today, no. Anyway, I want to thank you so much, David, for your time here
Yeah, it was
and all that. But before we go, though, where can people find out more about you and Comrade Brewing, what you guys got going on, where they can find you?
You can find us here in Southeast Denver. Come by the tap room. We're also on draft at fine places around Denver. I think we got about 40 or 50 handles. We got one or two spots up in Boulder, one or two spots in Golden. I think we have one place in Fort Collins that also carries our beer. You can also find out more on we're more active on Facebook, so facebook.com/Comrade Brewing, and you could also visit our website too, comradebrewing.com.
Yeah. And Jake Weber with Seafood Landing, where can people find out more about what you guys got going on?
You can find more about Seafood Landing mainly at Seafood Landing. Our online presence is pretty low. Website, pretty basic. Call us and look us up, Google Maps, whatever mapping system you're on. We're in the Highlands, West 32nd and Lowell in Denver, also known to a lot of the old residents as just North Denver.
And then it's a question that's gone unanswered. We introduced the gun in the first act, so the third act we got to bring it out. What are you doing with those fishtails?
Fishtails, I grill and smoke them. Today, the fish heads I buried in my garden boxes for fertilizer.
Okay.
Fishtails, they're great. They're very lean, and there's never bones in them.
Yeah, so you don't have to spend all that time
Yeah.
debone. Do you offer deboning services?
Most of the fish that we put out fillets. A lot of the customer base is boneless fillets. But we sell a wide variety. We do bone all
Right.
the salmon fillets that we put out. We'll pin bone those, and we do in-house butchering and try to do the best
To meet the
humanly
customer.
possible to our knowledge and our ability. But yeah, from head to tail, we'll sell it to you.
We got you. What do you need? What part are you looking for?
Yeah.
Bones, no bones? We got you.
Yeah.
Make no bones
Goldfish,
about it.
Fillet. No one eats salmon steaks anymore. We don't get calls for those. The cross-cut salmon steak
Oh, yeah.
with the bone, the spine in it. It's an awesome cut. People just want fillet though.
Okay. So ask for it. It's available.
Ask for it.
He's ready.
We do special requests. We like a heads up, but we do special requests. We'll do butchering for you, whatever. We do a little bit of prep stuff. So if you want a shrimp cocktail, we'll make a shrimp cocktail platter for you.
Okay, and then there's what's the word? Chapini. What is that right?
Chipino.
Chapino, yeah.
We have everything for Chipino. Myself, I'm a bouillabase guy
Okay.
because I like fennel and saffron.
Some people hate fennel, and it's very strange.
Yes, no. The anise flavor is definitely off-putting for a large group of people in the U.S. Myself, I love black licorice, always have. And then when I found out what fennel bulb was as a cook, I've loved it ever since.
But can you get bouillabaisse where you're at?
You can get everything except for bouillabaisse.
Okay.
I don't sell saffron. And then the other big one is paella. And we
Okay.
sell the rice, we sell
Oh.
everything for paella.
Okay.
Nice. But still not the saffron. Still
No
no saffron.
saffron.
It's like, hey, we have
The
saffron.
best,
but what are you
here's
making
my
with
saffron tip for everybody. If you want the less expensive saffron, still real, the ethnic food aisle at the grocery stores at Safeway, what is it? I don't know if it just says Mexican food aisle,
Okay.
but the aisle that has the spices that are usually like in the packets, and it's usually by the Mexican food aisle. There you can find for like $5 a little container of saffron.
Okay.
Way, way cheaper than like the 15, 16, $20 you pay over in the spice aisle.
Okay. Yeah. That is a real thing that changed. So this has been episode whatever number it ends up being. I don't know where we're at this point on numbers.
Episode
One-
We're in our
728.
whirlwind recording session.
148. Who knows? Barley Me. I've been your host, Ben Rice. Follow Barley Me across social media at Barley and Me Pod. Email questions, comments, concerns, guest ideas, brewery ideas to barleymepodcast@gmail.com. Though you could maintain barleymepod@gmail.com. That also now exists. You can go to the website, barleymepod.com. It's not worth it. Don't do it. You can check out my basketball and beer podcast. Please dunk responsibly wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure that you're watching my Chugs for Charity. Get involved in Chug for Charity. You just, all you got to do is chug a beer, name a charity, and how people donate, and then you tag me. I might give you free beer. It's a whole thing. And, of course, don't forget to check out the new podcast I'm working on where I'm the Bengineer. That's trademarked. You can't use it anywhere else. I'm Bengineering, an advice podcast called It's Crazy or In My Business. Get that wherever you get podcasts. And I hate outros so much.
Cut.
That's the episode. David Lin, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jake Weber, thank you so much.
Ben Rice, thank you so very much.
And listeners, thanks so much for listening. Get home safe.